expensive alternatives, leaving the U.S. lagging behind in 5G and eventually harming the interests of U.S. companies and consumers. Let's take a look at this big story. Lou Basenese joins us, founder and chief analyst of Disruptive Tech. And Lou, you know, the big question here with Huawei is, I mean, this was an executive order. This is a national security issue. But do you agree from a business standpoint that we can go without Huawei involved in 5G development in this country?
Listen, I think we have to stand with Trump on this ban. 5G is of critical importance, not because of the technology itself, but because of what it enables. All the major tech trends of the next decade are going to be reliant on 5G networks. And for Huawei, obviously, they're going to say that you can't do it without us. But there are other infrastructure players that will enable 5G that are not foreign entities that we have to worry about spying. There's a domestic carrier in Seago that is you know, where Huawei's struggling and Seago's picking up the slack in their business from them.
Well, but now some U.S. chip makers that sell over into Huawei might be impacted. I want to ask you about that. But also, you know, this move, it's quote, to restrict sales or transfers of American technology to Huawei. This is at the crux of the trade standoff, trade war, if you will, that we're in the middle of with China. Does this escalate the fight? How much does this, do you think, irritate, frankly, the Chinese government?
Yeah, look, I think this steps it up. Before we were just kind of moving pawns around the chessboard, and now we're getting more serious with some meaningful pieces. You know, it's your move next, China. What's going to happen, right? We've seen a retaliation, a tit for tat. You know, it's likely, and we talk about what other potential tariffs could be enacted by China. It might impact Tesla or Apple that were saved in the last spat that went on. So that might not be the case this time.
You know, let me ask you, too, about the bigger story here, of course, and this is, we've now found out that we've got this move by the Chinese to sell off U.S. treasuries as the trade fight intensifies. What about those U.S. chip makers in particular, those that do depend, and I'm thinking of Qualcomm, those that really do depend on China in general? Are you watching that sector right now and maybe evaluating some of those names?
Yeah, look, I think you have to be on watch that, you know, some of these big tech chip companies have up to 50% exposure to China. You know, there are names that I think that become attractive in the sell-off. NXPI Semiconductor is a great example that it sold off last time down into the 70s in late December and then rallied all the way back above 100. So that's, you know, I think you have to be selective and find the bargains among the bunch.
Right. Well, it's all timing the market seems to be the story of the week. Really quick, I want to move to Tesla before I let you go.
Sure.
T. Rowe Price cutting their holdings in Tesla. You know, this is a stock that is now down 30% for the year. S&P is up 14%. It's lower in the pre-market, but 81% of their shares of Tesla, they've dumped it. What do you make of this move by T. Rowe?
Well, listen, it's a crisis of confidence, and we've talked about this so many times about Tesla. Like, there's so many red flags here, and I think this is just an indication that Wall Street now is not going to just unabashedly support Elon Musk, and he's got to make up for this lagging demand and prove that there is a future and a future of profitability for Tesla. And right now, that's hugely in doubt, which I think is indicative of T. Rowe Price selling out. And what's even more interesting is that T. Rowe is investing in Tesla's competitors in self-driving cars. They've increased their stakes in Cruise and also Waymo. So, you know, look, it's the writing's on the wall. There's no confidence in Elon right now.
Lou, that's a really great point. We're going to leave it right there with you. Lou Basenese, thank you, sir, very much.
Thank you, Cheryl.
We're going to take a closer look at President